All right, I think it's recording now. It's been over an hour. Get this started, I guess. Actually bought a shot glass. Normally I just drink out of the bottle. It's to the Sinclair method. Bottoms up.
The World Health Organization says that alcohol abuse kills more than 3 million people every year.
And a new study in the British medical journal Lancet has determined alcohol is a more dangerous drug than both crack and heroin.
Alcohol abuse is the third leading cause of death and disability in the world.
Is actually more dangerous than heroin.
Nearly 18 million Americans struggle with alcohol abuse or dependency every day.
It rips lives apart. It ruins relationships.
Alcoholism will kill me before HIV does.
Is there a cure for this addiction? With us today is Claudia Christian, star of the sci-fi hit Babylon 5. Claudia succumbed to alcoholism, and after various forms of treatment, she found one that saved her. It's called the Sinclair method.
You take the opiate blocker an hour before you have your first drink of the day, and eventually you just drink less and less and less and less and less.
Why isn't this widely known?
You can't touch it, man, because by the nature of touching it, you're activating the very thing that's killing you.
It's dead easy, and it's counterintuitive.
It's not something we're taught, like in medical school.
The recovery industry is very afraid of people having that option.
Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, unless you could do something to change what's happened. But that's the other story.
If science revealed that what we know about alcoholism and its treatment was wrong, that you could save someone's life with a simple medication, wouldn't you share it?
I've always been a drinker. I'm a binge drinker, where I go weeks without thinking about it, but then I get an overwhelming craving to start drinking. And I really isolate myself, and I just completely wreck myself for 3 or 4 days, and where I do nothing but drink.
I can see the look in his eye, and it's that appearance that all logic goes out the window.
And you just sit and wonder, how did it happen again? How'd you let it happen again? And then you think of all the things you gotta clean up. And the fear and panic just ravages, you can't stop it.
It's extremely difficult to find yourself in this business that you love. And for me, you know, I work all day in a winery. I love what I do. It's fascinating, it's creative, it's science, it's getting my hands dirty. I could drink a bottle and a half of wine in an evening, and that was probably 6 out of 7 nights a week. I knew it was getting out of control, but I wasn't able to stop. Coming to a point where you find you have a problem with this thing that you create, with this thing that you really love. Here I am in my mid-40s. I've had a good amount of success with what I do. I feel that I do it well. And damn it, I may have to leave this, you know, it crushed me. You know, I had plans to not be around a lot longer. And
there are a lot of people in here trying hard to stay clean, Iris. I think you owe it to them to tell me the truth. If you're using, I want you to leave. Right now.
When the alcoholism struck, it crept in. It changed from light to social to moderate to heavy to abstinence to binger. The binges became worse and became more difficult to recover from. There was a slice of Claudia way in the back of the brain that was saying, "What the hell are you doing?" But that voice was so small, and the addict voice was so loud. That's the absolutely terrifying thing about it. There is somebody that gets you up at 6 in the morning and puts you in your car to go buy alcohol. Who is that person? It wasn't me. It sounds absolutely heinous, and it is, but you basically take the first drink of the day, throw it up, and then the next one stays down. I tried everything. I tried hypnotherapy. I tried rehab. I tried AA in 2 countries and 15 different meetings. I tried moderation. I tried white-knuckling it. I tried tapering. I tried everything. And thank God I found what I found. And now I can help other people. I'm doing this because I wish that somebody would have done it when I was searching for an answer for my alcohol problem. I don't want them to have to go through years of suffering needlessly. I mean, it's needless. When I was searching for help for my own problem, I finally came across an American scientist who has been recruited by the foremost facility in alcohol research in Helsinki, Finland. For over 30 years, Dr. David Sinclair researched alcoholism and discovered something astonishing about alcohol cravings. We've been taught the wrong thing.
It turns out that the desire for alcohol increases every day that a rat or a monkey or a person is deprived of alcohol. The craving goes up and up and up, and it doesn't go down. We had rats that had been dependent upon alcohol. We took them through detox and then 2 weeks or months without alcohol, and it did not take away the craving. Not only did it fail to work, it was backwards. It made the craving be 10 times worse. This meant that the theory of alcoholism being alcohol dependence was wrong. It also meant the treatment was wrong. And all this effort that has been put into detoxification and detention is counterproductive. It's making people worse.
Sinclair applied this. He thought, how could I get inside the brain? Because when people drink alcohol, there's a release of endorphins, the body's own morphine, which is reinforcing the system.
The endorphins don't do anything to most of the brain, but to synapses, pathways that have just been used, they make them stronger. The endorphin system is a shortcut for learning. When alcoholism is being learned, you have a strengthening of the pathways. Each time the drink occurs, the endorphins are released and they make pathways stronger. They get a great deal of reinforcement.
To prevent reinforcement, you can use a medication called naltrexone, which is like a key fitting into a lock, so that the body's own opiates, endorphins, just bounce off, so there is no reinforcement to the system. The neural pathways become weaker each time there is drinking on naltrexone. It goes back to the work of Ivan Pavlov, who discovered that the dog, in this case, could learn to salivate to a bell if the bell was rung and the dog was presented with a reinforcer, food. But if you stopped giving the reinforcement, no more food, the dog would still salivate, but a little bit less each time until there was no longer salivation. And that is unlearning or extinction. Pharmacological extinction is a technical term for what we now call the Sinclair method, or TSM. The medicine itself is not curative. You have to take the medication 1 hour before drinking.
I'm gonna go meet some friends. I'm out here in Santa Monica. They've got a new bar that they really like, so I thought I better take a pill. I started the Sinclair method in 2009, and very quickly it stopped the binge drinking and the cravings. Now, I only take a pill if I'm going to drink, but I always keep my medication with me, just in case.
I took a few animals. There were rats that liked alcohol, and I put them in the boxes. They were able to lever press for alcohol, and they learned it overnight. They loved alcohol. They pressed for alcohol, and I showed David, well, this is working. They like it. Then David said, well, we could try naloxone. Naloxone is one of these opioid antagonists. Would they still be willing to lever press, or would they do something else? Oh, this is interesting. They started lever pressing, but then they stopped. And I repeated this the second day, the third day. They would always start lever pressing, but they stopped earlier and earlier. This was really fascinating, and then I gave the data to David, and David said, well, it seems like extinction.
I'm gonna go for number 2. Tell you what, I'm gonna do one more. I don't know if you can see, we've just had about that much of it. I'm waiting, I keep waiting for the feeling, and it's not coming. If I'm talking to somebody out there right now that is an alcoholic, you know what I'm talking about when you get that first drink, that like, oh, that felt good. You feel it from the top of your head and it goes right down your body through your fingertips. It's almost like your inside saying, thank you. That's what you needed. And then it's like, give me more. But when you don't get it, well, my point is, if this is how normal people feel every time they drink, why the fuck would you even drink? What is the point? My brain feels cheated right now.
It's a learned behavior. And when you cause pharmacological extinction, it undoes it. You can sense the difference in your brain. You can notice that I'm like I am when I was in my 20s. I don't think about alcohol. That's the beauty.
My primary goal must be to aid people on a journey to heal. The big thing is there's abstinence, and then there's not abstinence, you know, and neither camp is ever gonna agree with each other.
I think it would be hard to tell people, yeah, I'm gonna try this method, but it involves me drinking. Because initially people are gonna say, well, that's just because that's what you wanna do.
I had apprised my husband of this method that I had found. He had pretty much said, you go back to drinking and that's a deal breaker.
One thing I like about Chicago and hated about Chicago is the amount of drinking that happens in Chicago. There are 4 a.m. bars that on Saturdays stay open till 5 a.m. Who's the guy who's like, I'm tired of going to bed at 4 a.m. This is bullshit, City Hall.
They wonder why you just can't quit. And mostly they think you're pretty weak. And the guilt trip is absolutely, amazingly painful. My husband is president of a large healthcare concern. What you marry someone for and what you end up hating about them is the same thing. So yeah, he did keep me in line, and I hated him keeping me in line. I wanted the Sinclair method, and the doctor asked me if I had support in my family, and I said I have very good support for AA and rehab and abstinence. I have the best support ever. And he said, in that case, I don't think it will work for you.
It's a deeply ingrained belief in society that abstinence is the only way. If you give in to addiction, it's some moral failing or weakness.
Even my family members who love me, even some of my family said, just stop drinking. You know, just why can't you just stop? Just have some discipline. Come on.
I had hepatitis as a teenager, and I went into the doctor. He said, I want you to stop drinking. I said, social drinking? He said, stop drinking. So that afternoon, I quit drinking. I haven't had a drink since. Why can't everybody do that? I mean, it's so simple. You just say no. You just stop. We had a tough time during that era when Claudia was drinking heavily. I was the most insensitive guy to people who had habits that they couldn't break, or for that matter, addictions that they couldn't kick. You know, I just didn't understand it. You know, you just have to say no, you just have to quit, no problem.
I don't understand people who have one drink. I don't understand people who leave half a glass of wine on the table. I don't understand people who say they've had enough. How can you have enough of feeling like this? How can you not want to feel like this longer? My brain works differently.
It isn't a moral failing. It isn't because you're a bad person. It is a disease of the brain. So treat it like a disease.
These are health conditions, and if we can address them as health conditions, when you have a health condition, if you have a heart attack, you don't go, oh, I don't want to tell anybody, including my physicians or anybody that had a heart attack. You want to get it taken care of. You want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Some people, because of the genetics, when they drink alcohol, they get a great deal of reinforcement. And they learn very quickly to drink alcohol.
My father was a drinker. On my mother's side, her parents were both alcoholics. My grandfather died from alcoholism.
So these people, they are not immoral, they are not really bad persons. This kind of a inability to control their actions is just part of the disease, and we have to understand that.
This is not an easy disease, it's not an easy issue to deal with, and you need a support system, and some people really need that 12-step AA family of support.
The only choice for treatment in a TV or movie script seems to be traditional treatment. Well, where are they? They're in an AA meeting. Oh, they're in rehab.
Will not completely give themselves to this simple program.
Want to be my sponsor?
Usually men and women who are constitutionally capable of being honest with themselves. There are
I'm serious on this.
They're not at fault.
It's a good deal.
They seem to be born that way. There are those too.
And if people realize that, yeah, you know, there's an imbalance and maybe there's a way of correcting this imbalance, for example, with naltrexone, then I think this would be the starting point, and I would be really happy to correct this, even with a very cheap pill.
Hi, it's Saturday morning, and we are now on, I guess, would be considered day 3 of Steve starting out on this path. I'm amazed at what I've seen, actually, because his pattern in the past, once it started and he's gotten that taste of the alcohol, nothing turns it back, usually. And to see him last night do that, and to wake up this morning and still see, you know, more than a quarter of the bottle left, almost half, and only one beer gone, it's indescribable.
Can you say hi real quick?
Hi.
We've got a beautiful fiance who's always so supportive. You know, as much as I'm doing this for myself, I'm doing it for us and for my kids.
I had poured another glass, that would have been my third, and I brought half of it up to my bedroom, and I was just gonna have it before I went to bed, and it was still there in the morning, and I threw it away. Unheard of. You do not waste anything.
I was diagnosed with cancer of the left eye, melanoma. There is nothing that I have ever felt like this pain. It was unbelievable. He sends you home with a little magic bottle, couple of drops, 3 minutes, it's over. I mean, magic. My wife said, bottle's empty. And I said, so get another one. She said, no. He said, that's all you get. And I said, get another bottle. I don't care what you have to do. If there was a street exchange where I could have picked up another bottle of this magic steroid cocktail, believe me, I'd have gone out and bought it. And I said to myself, I think I know now what an addict goes through. And I will never, ever again say to somebody who has a habit or an addiction, just give it up. Should be no problem. Just say no. That is bullshit. Maybe this was meant to be, you know, to straighten me out. Now I sympathize. I have empathy, I know.
What really has happened, as far as I can tell, is they've closed ranks. My mom and my husband and my brother have joined forces to do anything in their power to stop me from doing the Sinclair method. Just pulling out a drink in front of any of them would be a fate worse than death. I am not going to give in on this because I think it's not true to what I think is good for me.
The most frustrating thing of all for me is the fact that I have so many people that want to go on the Sinclair method that are literally dying from their alcohol addiction, and their GP will not prescribe naltrexone. It's a declassified, completely safe, non-addictive opiate blocker that can be found in other countries over the counter. Why aren't we doing that here?
I didn't think it'd be much of a problem getting naltrexone at all. But when I tried to get it, no doctor would prescribe it to me.
I have been drinking my whole life. When I drink, I'll start drinking, and next thing I know, it could be 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm still like awake drinking. Well, I've actually been diagnosed with AIDS. I found out I was HIV positive in April of 2000, but also I have hepatitis C. My doctor tells me all the time that I have to really, really be careful about drinking. Alcoholism will kill me before HIV does. I smoke crack cocaine, and I believe that drinking does definitely lead that on. I've reached out so many different times in so many different directions for help. I'm just amazed that I've never even heard of this pill. Never heard of it before, ever. I'm at a stage where I will try anything, and if my doctor is agreeable, then I would love to try it.
The UK has one of the highest rates of alcoholism. Yet even here, doctors and rehab centers are not prescribing naltrexone.
I was very much in a monogamous relationship with alcohol for quite a long time. The reason why I never left her was because the sex was brilliant.
Sex was brilliant.
Yes, I knew she was bad for me. Yes, I knew she was a bitch. But
Both of us found the Sinclair method inadvertently via the internet or social media.
Sure.
It wasn't in a rehab place, it wasn't in a facility, it wasn't in a detox, it wasn't in a hospital, it wasn't through a doctor, it wasn't through a friend, it was just by doing our own research.
It's been months since I was what I would call a compulsive drinker, even though it's not been that long since I last had a drink.
And you've been on the Sinclair method for 6 months now?
Since April the 2nd. What I first tried to do was to access it through primary services here in Britain. Big mistake. No joy there.
To access what? To access the medication?
To access the medication to see whether I could be prescribed naltrexone.
But now you know nalmefene has been approved by NICE, by the National Health Service in the UK.
It isn't being prescribed in my town.
It might not be prescribed, but it's approved officially. It's a legal thing, and patients need to demand this.
Up against a brick wall without a paddle. At the moment, no one's prescribing naltrexone for alcohol. I've made contact on the Facebook website with a chap called Mike. He got naltrexone over the counter in Spain. A weekend holiday in Spain booked. I am going to traipse round every single pharmacy and see if I can get it over the counter without a prescription. That is how desperate I am.
It's funny, I went through hell to get the naltrexone, but they'll frickin' give me, 6 months of Xanax, no problem. It's like, oh yeah, sure, even though that's, highly addictive and it just sets me off.
I could get Percocet tomorrow. I could get Vicodin tomorrow. Oh, my back hurts. But no, can I get naltrexone? Why didn't somebody offer this to me?
Mainly, it's a profit motive. If this medication were owned by a pharmaceutical company, and if it had exclusive rights, then they would put more money into promoting it. But the other reason is that the better you get, the less you drink.
The less you're going to use it.
The recovery industry is very afraid of people having that option because it's not expensive. My husband knows a lot of people in that industry. Yes, I think he would be afraid to introduce that personally to them.
So what I ended up going was to see the doctor back at that treatment center. He was just preaching 12-step jargon at me, berating me with it. I've tried 12-step programs. They don't work for me. We talked about it when we were in group. We're like, what's gonna change this time? We know everything. We know everything that your guys are telling us. Nothing changes.
A well-known example is all of these sad celebrities who go in and out of rehabs 10, 12 times, and no one says, maybe the rehab isn't doing a good job. Everyone says the person has failed. But in fact, these programs are just extraordinarily ineffective.
Rehab is a multi-billion-dollar business, a revolving door, sometimes costing $1,000 a day. Where I went to rehab is now under a new management, so I wanted to see if much has changed.
When they're in here, they have individual therapy twice a week. They go to groups throughout the day. They have psychoeducational opportunities. How do you manage the cravings? There are lots of behavioral skills that you can learn to manage cravings, and it depends on that person and what specifically will be helpful for them.
The Sinclair method would mean taking the opiate blocker, drinking on it, blocking that, and within a few months creating extinction, so you don't have any cravings and you don't wish to drink. Have you heard of that?
I have not heard of that, and I know that we do not use that model, but again, you probably have to talk with our physician about that.
We rely on the recommendations of the American Society of Addiction Medicine for the treatment of addictive disorders. The American Society of Addiction Medicine would entertain the use of any treatment that showed evidence-based research. The American Society of Addiction Medicine does not endorse the use of alcohol as a treatment for alcohol dependence disorders. And so it would take a major shift in the philosophy and the outlook of the treatment community.
85 to 90% of people who go on abstinence-based, faith-based treatments like the 12 steps or AA or an expensive rehab relapse within a year.
Yes, we do use naltrexone.
So Bayside does offer naltrexone, but only while abstinent. That means taking it every day and not targeting alcohol specifically. So you're essentially blocking good endorphins as well.
There are two aspects to the Sinclair method. We're not only getting rid of the bad behavior, the behavior you don't want, but you're also helping to fill in the vacuum of developing other behaviors that are healthy alternative behaviors. It can be exercise, it could be sex, it could be anything which is releasing endorphins.
So if you engage in good behavior on your days off from drinking and your days off from naltrexone or nalmefene, makes you more predisposed to continue that good behavior. It enforces the good, positive things that you're doing.
Ultimately, I found the Sinclair method. I still wasn't quite ready to go to my doctor about this. I'm self-employed, I have insurance. I just wondered what that might do to my possibility of maintaining insurance. I ordered from an Indian pharmacy, got the pills. I began that night I got the meds, and I was amazed at this glass of wine that sat there while I cooked a dinner for 2¼ hours. Second week, we're getting there a little further. Third week, oh my God, I feel this distance between that and how I am now.
A few weeks ago, I noticed my drinking ramp up and having several nights where I drank pretty heavily, and that scared the hell out of me.
No party, yay!
So I did some online researching. I looked at a study or a report from Yale University. They found 100 milligrams to be most effective in people with family history, which I have. So I decided I'd try upping the dose, 75. I really find that it's blunting the effect that the alcohol has.
It's not unusual for people to up their dosage. I've known people to go from 50 to 75 to 100.
People shouldn't have to self-diagnose with information found online. Doctors and therapists should be educated about pharmacological extinction and be willing to tailor the treatment to the individual.
I want to be a better mother. It's very important to me.
I'm sorry you don't feel good.
No, babe. I mean, I just can't even think of enough, say enough good things about her. And she amazes me every day when I look at her.
Oh, yeah, I saw you do frosting those.
I must, for her, you know. F me, like for her to do her right. She deserves that. She's never had that from me her whole life.
So are you still drinking?
I drank a lot this weekend, like more than I have in a long time.
What kind of sparked this one?
A friend of mine brought me a bottle of something called cowboy whiskey.
That was dangerous. The naltrexone, so you heard about it from your daughter.
Yes.
And you're interested in it. And I'll be honest with you, I've never myself prescribed it for anyone, and I'm not very familiar with it. I've heard about it, but it's not it's not something we're taught like in medical school.
Right.
So it sounds like an option. So I just need to do a little more research.
Okay. I hope I get to see you again, because you're like one of my favorite doctors of all time. I really cannot see myself, and I know this is sad to say, but completely alcohol-free for the rest of my life. I mean, I just can't even imagine doing that.
I prosecuted for a lot of years, and I just love getting the bad guys. But prosecutors are supposed to be reducing crime and protecting public safety, and we were addressing only part of it.
The judicial system doesn't utilize the Sinclair method per se, but Helen Harberts uses naltrexone with great success.
Our justice system was designed to deal with criminals, but what's in our justice system is addicts who commit crimes. And there's a big difference between a criminal who uses drugs and an addict who commits crimes. Normally, a person who would have like a first-time DUI, the minute the handcuffs go on, they get it, and they won't be back. There's a very small percentage of people who come back again. When you start to see a relatively high blood alcohol level and you see priors, those people represent a tremendous public safety risk. They are among the scariest of the criminal justice population in terms of lethality. The problem with sending people to prison for these offenses is that nothing changes. So the minute they hit the door, that brain says, dude, we gotta have beer. We gotta go drink now. Now, treatment is not fun, and it is not easy. There are some drugs, including alcohol, where the cravings are almost impossible. It's like watching people with their fingernails dragging on a blackboard. You can see them, they're just trying to hold on. They're in agony. The cravings are driving them nuts. There's a medication called naltrexone that you can give these people, which stops the cravings. We give them this pill, and it's gone. It's gone. We started using it wherever we saw people who were unable to control their alcohol consumption because it so sharply improved outcomes. I think in my first 10 years as a DA, I may have seen 3 people get off drugs. So the outcomes were miserable. Now I expect 7 out of 10 that I deal with, and I'm pretty close to getting there. We get regular citizens back, and they pay taxes, and they get jobs, and they live a life of recovery, and they don't come back into the justice system. It's freaking awesome.
With all the success and positive outcomes, it still feels like people don't want to accept the fact that there's a modern medical and biological solution that works for people.
Unless you really want to do it, you're really not gonna. That's my theory. I mean, I think he really wants to not feel that way, and that pill's helping him somehow. It's helping him convince him that he's strong. He drank just as much as I did. Drank beer, had a couple shots. He was fine. I mean, it was like we were in a time warp 20 years ago. You know, I didn't get any text from the next day saying how bad he feels, and nothing. It really could be the drug, or it really could be he's ready. We had a buddy just moved back from Chicago, like I was saying, and he told me after he left, he's like, you know, I haven't seen that Newman in years.
Did he really?
I swear to God.
The work that I've been, you know, not only myself involved with personally, but professionally, what's been transformative in my experience has been to approach it more comprehensively. I believe that that person might need something beyond symptom reduction, beyond harm reduction. Now, does the harm reduction model have value and serve a purpose? Without question.
If someone had said, take a pill, and you'll feel like, I go, yeah, right. I'll take a pill. That sounds easy. I do that, but it would not have, I would not have gotten, just from what the little I understand about the Sinclair method, I wouldn't have gotten what I've gotten out of a 12-step program.
People get very passionate about what it is that they needed in order to become sober, and they can actually develop whole frameworks around it. That's what Bill Wilson did. He figured out what he needed to become sober, and that was the system he worked in.
He was a huge science fanatic. He was a niacin studier. He was a LSD taker. Anything to stop his alcoholism.
I would agree with you.
Who knows what he would have thought of if he saw naltrexone laying around? Maybe he would have given that out at meetings. I don't think that every single alcoholic has a spiritual sickness. I don't think there's anything spiritually wrong with me. I have a very, very strong connection to the higher being.
It's not a question of faith, it's a question of facts. I wasn't going to be able to pray this thing away. When you look at different treatment approaches, you've got AA with you know, trying to pray to it. And then with other types of counselling, they're trying to reason with it, you know. And I'm thinking, well, you know, silly, why don't you just kill it?
I don't believe that I ever was capable of praying away my alcoholism, but I did pray for an answer, and that's, I believe, why I ended up in that detox center, where I found that little flyer for Vivitrol, and I researched it and found out that naltrexone was the active ingredient in it, and that's how I found Dr. Escapa's book. So maybe that was divine intervention.
It's a beautiful prayer. But it's not the 1930s anymore. We can change things we couldn't back then.
The brain is built so that it has an eraser. We are born with a nervous system that can change its own wiring on the basis of experience. And until people understand their own brain, their own behavior to some extent, they're not going to understand the treatment.
This method did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's put me in control of my drinking instead of everybody else being in control of my drinking. It's very empowering in that you won't ruin your whole life if you have a drink. Our relationship is much better because he is not in control of what I do or how I feel or what I think. I feel like it's my decision.
We have to go back to what are the goals, what are the intentions of this person? What is it that you want? What are your goals? Because if what I believe is going to get in the way of your process of healing, I am doing you a disservice.
Out of the 14 to 15 million Americans who have alcohol use disorder problems, 1/10 actually even seek treatment every year, right? So what we need to do is, that's not their fault, that's our fault. We're doing something wrong if only 1/10 of the people with a problem are even looking for the treatment. For people who are struggling with alcohol, and every other treatment program that they go to says you have to stop on day 1 and then never drink for the rest of your life, 1 day at a time, et cetera, et cetera. How nice is it to be able to say to them, okay, well, you don't feel like you can stop drinking, fine. Take this pill an hour before you start drinking. Any method that we can present to people that has what I call a lower sort of threshold of entry. Any method that allows people to come in more on their terms instead of our terms is useful.
For the nearly 80 million people worldwide that suffer from alcohol dependence, that don't have access to rehab, AA, or other resources, don't they deserve options too?
The foothills of the Himalayas. You just come here, you feel the vibrations. It's a spiritual place. But you come down to mundane too, because of what you see in the villages, what's happening with the women, especially if they're poor. And a husband who has started drinking, and then one day he becomes an alcoholic. So in this beautiful place, you have this little black dot. He was so drunk, and he came into the house. He burned the house, and he wanted to burn all of them, all 4 of them. There's so much violence because of alcohol. आप लोग पीना शुरू करो. I'm asking them, which one of you drinks? None of them drink. You'll be surprised, women never drink in India. It's the men. It's been a long walk with alcoholics. I tried the Alcoholic Anonymous approach, but to get the men do anything about the alcohol was almost impossible. It was not till I met Dr. Roy Escapa and heard about the Sinclair method. It really made a lot of sense. It's so beautiful, you don't have to stop drinking. You don't have to give up alcohol. The alcohol will give you up. So that's the beauty of this treatment.
Her husband is given to drinking. He drinks almost daily. His liver has been damaged because of his drinking. There is no peace in the house. Every day they have the fights, and there are financial problems constantly because of his drinking habits. Now we'll call the husband, we'll brief him that he has to take the tablet of naproxen 1 hour before he has the drink. The drug is expensive. What I feel is spending 50 rupees on a tablet per day, wherever they're getting alcohol, much cheaper rates. That is a practical problem. Otherwise, by and large, the response has been good.
अगर मेरे को हो जाती तो मैं भी लेती. I'm telling him, I don't think you're a bad person because you drink. Alcohol taking is a disease, so don't be so shy and ashamed of it. I'm not stopping you from drinking, but just call us up that how is it going. In this Sinclair method, you have to understand how to manage yourself. The person has to take responsibility.
India is just one heartbreaking example of the greater worldwide issue that faces our families and societies. It's time to implement solutions that are proven to work.
It's just a matter of people understanding and grasping, and change is very difficult to comprehend, especially when it is going against the grain of everything we've been taught.
The stuff works. It is malpractice not to use it. It is inexcusable not to use it. It's cruel not to use it. Don't tell me you can't do it. Tell me how you're going to do it and how long it's going to take you. Get it done. If you only have people with insurance at first, use it. Affordable Care Act is coming. Use it. Do whatever you need to do, but to improve your outcomes, to protect the public safety, get it done.
It's not my way or the highway when it comes to addiction. It's all of us working together and understanding that we're each different. Every individual is different, and every treatment will work differently for that individual.
So far, so good. I've tried it on 12 times, and it's worked like a charm every time. And every morning when I wake up, no craving at all. It's incredible.
That's good news, because I know you were kind of afraid of jumping into a binge.
Never in a million years could I have tried this 12 times on my own and not ended up in a treatment center. I mean, it just would not have happened.
I bet your fiance's happy too.
Yeah, she's really happy. She tells me she notices a big change. I don't have the scowl like this.
Yeah.
I'm smiling a lot more. I tell you,
Isn't that wonderful?
So nice.
Yeah. I'm doing this because I wish that somebody would have done it when I was searching for an answer for my alcohol problem. I hope that I'm a source of comfort for other alcoholics, and by giving them hope and an option. And I think that's my role, is to provide people with a choice, an option, and knowledge about it, information about it. Here's one, chronic alcoholic at age 60. Talk about grassroots, it's tiny at this point. It's me sitting in front of my computer 8 hours a day, reaching out to people all over the world and talking about their struggles with alcoholism and what their options are, where they can get the medication, calling up pharmaceutical companies, asking them if they'll give me a discount for my people. You know, the more we do it, the more we talk about it, the more people seem to get involved.
She's taking her time, which is precious, and her efforts to literally educate a populace on a subject where a great deal of that population is ignorant. And they know nothing about this particular regimen for getting under control, and they need to, and she's taking that on, and that's incredible. Screw the, the Academy Awards. This is really something special, and I'm proud of her.
Thank you.
2 meetings a week that are centered on educating people around what is the logic behind the Sinclair method, and then a process component for those groups where people get to say what's going on with them and how is the process working for them.
after rehab, if she wants to try using it to stay sober, I'd be definitely willing to work with her. But again, I would make sure she understands that this is a partnership, that we're doing this together.
It's like insurance. I like having it on me at all times. I feel like my life isn't over if I have a drink.
My brother was an alcoholic who committed suicide when he was 24. And think if this had been there. If this had been around, he might be here.